Hello racers! Today we will be bringing you the most underrated cards from the new expansion. So we both picked one card for each color and one leader that we think people underestimate. And we don't know what we picked. We will be seeing it for the first time and we will be discussing our choices, maybe disagreeing on them. So yeah, let's go for the leaders. Uh, and yeah, I've kinda expected your pick. I almost picked him myself. Uh, I've I've picked Cat Bane as the underrated
Underrated.
leader. I think a lot of people think he will be only a limited leader because he is worse than Boba. It's unplayable in constructed because Boba exists, and I've built a really fun deck around him, around his ability, and around Underworld, and
Is it a green cut or a
uh,
different version?
it's the deck I was running was a green card, but he only runs 3 cards that are not yellow. So you can
Oh,
also run a mono yellow card. And the deck is mostly around the 5 mana 4/4 dude that brings Underworld card from your discard pile. And because you can bring McClunky, if you manage to prolong the game to like 6-7 resources, you have an infinite loop or of 4 damage to the opponent. And most decks can handle it because it's really not that easy to deal with 4 additional damage every single turn. Yeah, the deck definitely needs a little bit more work. I will be making a deck tech about it, but uh, like uh, I need to make
quite
it to
some
the
more.
point I'm really sure that it's really good before. But the base that I currently have is good enough to talk about. But I will show it in the I probably next week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I can see Cut being okay. Like I've played the Silton tournament and he was doing really well. Like obviously he's good in limited. In constructed, I haven't really seen him at all. So yeah, kind of curious how you can build the deck and whether it performs or not. And I've picked Jabba. And the reason for Jabba being quite good is he is basically carried by 2 cards. So he's carried by the 2 hunters. One of them costs 3 and is a 3/4, but he enters play for 2 resources if the opponent has a bounty on a unit. And because you can give a bounty to enemy unit when before Jabba deploys, so as his leader form, you can basically play a 3/4 for 2 resources on the very first round, and that's basically a lot of value. Like the 3/4 trades up with vast majority of early game plays that the opponent can make, and also there is a 4/3 unit for 3 resources that enters with shield token if the opponent has a bounty on him. And basically the same concept applies. You can just give a bounty to the enemy unit and play the guy as a 4/3 shielded, which can trade up with many units. And the awkward part, which was about Bosk and him playing the prize on your hand on the first round, was the fact that because Bosk is quite aggro leader, uh, and he wasn't really happy in cases where both players passed in the first round and neither of them played a unit. Because as the aggro deck, you want to develop the board early and then apply pressure as soon as possible. But in case of Jabba, Jabba is slightly uh, more oriented about playing in late game with stuff like Jumper Rancor, Mole, and stuff like that. So yeah, he has a lot of good
Yeah.
late game options. So yeah,
I've
here's the hunter on the screen,
I've put the
and yeah,
hunter on the screen. The so reputable hunter. There is also
yeah,
the
reputable hunter and the
hunter of the
starting
Haxion
with
Brad.
starting with B, yeah, the hunter of Haxon Brown, yeah. So
And
those are the 200 that are really strong with Jabba,
yeah, I will also
and
add
yeah,
the third one because I think the chain code collector is also really strong with him.
yeah, he's pretty good because you can kill something, but Chain Code Collector is slightly more situational because if you don't get the on attack with the kill when you ambush him, He's underwhelming as a 4
for
2 for
two.
4 resources, but if you get a kill, he's pretty good.
Yeah, but I think the fact that you can, if you manage to ambush something, and he's still on the board alive, the next turn you can give something the bounty and do it again.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it sometimes performs as a like 2-1, 3-1, or even 4-1. So yeah, I've I've built a Java deck recently, and I'm extremely happy at how it performed. It's extremely abusive early and really has domination on 7 mana with Rancors, Vaders, and Mauls.
Yeah, because
Uh,
the Jabba is underword, you can
yeah,
give the damage from Maul to Jabba, and he can really tank the damage. So yeah,
yeah. So
always
the
retaining
deck is
use that.
amazing, and I need few days to finish it, to like fix fix it a little bit, because I'm still a little bit not sure what to play between 4 and 6. But yeah, wait for the deck, because it will definitely be a part of the meta. It performed much better than I anticipated. Okay, so the
He really
leaders were
punishes the mid-range decks and some aggro decks. Like he might be a quite good counter into Boba. I haven't played that much of this matchup, but I think he might be a quite
yeah.
good counter
Okay,
to Boba.
so let's go for the vigilance card.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh,
So do you want to start?
I can start. I didn't expect your card at all. Yeah, I've picked covered strength because I didn't see a single person talking about it, and it performed extremely good. 1 mana for an experience token is good enough in few decks. But the fact that you can heal something, you can get out of the takedown, you can get out of a lot of removals because of the card. And on its own, this card would be decent. But the fact that it has smuggle, and you can, if you don't need it, you put it on the resource, and later in the game, you will find a moment that 3 mana for a 3 HP is worth it. And saving a unit and trading up is really good in some decks. I'm not sure if it will be a really part of the meta, just because Vigilance is not really that strong as
Yeah,
of
that's just what I was about to ask. Like, in which deck you can see
yeah.
this card being played?
Uh,
Because I don't see a single one at this
but
point.
I think if there will be like a strong Kira deck or Ray, I think the Ray decks should really abuse this card, because this card is extremely strong in Ray. Because and then additional counters may make your minions uh, avoid some of the removal. And 1 mana is also really good in Ray, because uh, you often end up playing a unit, buffing it with Ray ability, and having 1 mana left. So uh, I think it's a little bit it went under the radar of most people. And on the other hand, in limited, this card is insane. The fact how amazing this card performed in the limited format, just uh, it was mind blowing for me. I think I
Yeah,
won more than like 5 games just because of one use of cover strength.
yeah. I mean, in limited, this card is definitely strong, but yeah, we're here mainly to talk about constructed.
Yeah,
So
and
yeah,
I think people just underestimate this card. If there will be a strong Tree-Root, Ray, or Kira, like a mid-range Kira, more aggressive deck, I think
we're
this
right.
card will find place in it. And I think you picked cards mostly because of Kira.
Yeah, exactly. Like the Enforcer, when he was shown for the first time, it was before Kira, so people were like, okay, we have a 1 drop that I guess we can play with Grand Inquisitor, and that's like okay value because you get the 3/2 that can instantly deal 3 damage. But yeah, after FFG showed Kira, this card became insane with her. Like the fact that you can play this guy in turn one, and then because you have one resource left, you can use Kira's ability on him, and he essentially becomes a 3/2 with shielded. Makes this guy just a really strong early game unit that can trade up with vast majority of the early game plays that the opponent can make. So it's similar case to the Hunter in Java, but yeah. Also the fact that green, blue Villani was kind of struggling against Sabine in some cases, uh, helps them quite a lot. Like I've seen a lot of people switching from Krennic to Kira just because Kira has a little bit better early game with this guy and can stop the aggression that decks like Han, like Sabine can provide in the early stages of the game. So yeah, I think this guy is quite good.
Yeah, I also thought if you play him in IG, in GI, uh, you can combine it with cover strength and you have a 2/5 on turn 1. That
Yeah,
also
what
does
an
damage.
insane combo.
Yeah, it's funny. Okay,
GI is meta definitely.
let's go to the green card. So
Neutral.
command.
Hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
I I didn't expect
You
this.
know why I've picked this one, but yeah, you can start with the Crumb.
Yeah, I picked the Cram because I think it's almost an auto include in Green Villainous decks. The fact that uh, he basically provides you with everything you want from a one drop. Uh, he trades with a lot of shielded units at the beginning, so he can get their shield and go back to hand. The little bit amount of healing is really good versus aggro, and the ability to ping is much more versatile than I anticipated. And also the fact that it's a one drop and you can fit him really well later in the game. So if you don't have a 4 drop and you have 3 drop, you can play a 3 drop, bounce him, play 1 drop, and it will be still a decent play. Uh, and on top of it, he's Underworld. He has extremely good synergy with Bane, with Maul. So for me, he is a little bit passed on in the topics of the best one drops in the game.
Yeah, I mean, I've been testing him in Green Boba with stuff like McClunky, so we can play a one drop McClunky and then replay the one drop on the first round because you get to
Yeah.
untap one resource with Boba. But this type of deck was really clunky, and I don't even know if that's the correct way to play Green Boba in the new set. But I can see Crump being pretty good in some other decks
Yeah.
like Cat Bane and
I've
stuff like that.
I've currently testing him in Jabba and he performs really well.
Yeah, in
Uh,
Jabba he's pretty good because you get the one resource from the bounty
yeah,
and in some cases you don't have the way to
yeah,
spend that one
exactly.
resource.
And I've also like I mostly played green Cat Bane because of him and Barrage. Uh, like what I've talking about on the beginning. But and in Cat Bane he's amazing. The fact that you can bounce him every single turn and deal 2 damage basically. A lot of decks have really struggled with the amount of free damage from him. Yeah, so why you picked Vanguard? I think I may know the answer to it, but but
Yeah, those two are paying attention to the channel know that Beton developed the Tarkin Yellow, and this card is pretty good in Tarkin Yellow. Like when I first time saw this card, I was like, okay, this is just a really weak version of Wing Leader. Because the thing about Wing Leader is the fact that because Wing Leader costs 3, you can play him on the second round and then give the experience to the your turn one play and you're efficient with resources. But with this guy, it's not that obvious because if you play him on the second round, you have one resource left over, and there are a lot of decks that can't really do much about that one resource. But there's the yellow Tarkin, which can still utilize the one resource just to give the experience token. He is a vehicle, so he works with triple dark rate as a kind of backup target. So yeah,
Yeah.
this card is really good in the Tarkin yellow deck, and
Yeah.
that's the reason why I decided to choose it
In
as
Tarkin,
the
he's
most underrated.
basically a better version of Wing Leader because you can spread the tokens however you want.
Yeah, you get the flexibility. I mean, you lose on the action economy, but you get
Yeah.
the flexibility of giving the experience token
Yeah. I really
to other
yeah
units.
on the spoiler season I thought this will be mostly a limited card and but yeah after the yellow Tarkin I love this card. Uh, the flexibility of it being a 2 mana instead of 3 is a lot, and it also synergizes with the tie advanced because you can stack those counters on something and make it almost unkillable. Yeah, I
Yeah,
really
like
love tie Vanguard.
or just stack a target for barrage. So
Yeah.
those are quite good
Okay.
options.
So let's go to the aggression card.
Yeah, so we chose the same deck, I suppose.
Yeah, I think we chose the same deck. Yeah, and I think we can talk about those cards in the same way because I think both of these cards will be used mostly in the new hand deck.
Hmm.
So the Spirit Freighter, it's a 5 mana 5/6 it's in space without any additional text, but in hand the flexibility for to play him as a 4 drop as a 5/4 in space makes it really hard to remove because there isn't any 4 mana ambush cards in space that deal 4 damage.
Yeah, like there are a lot of ships in early stages of the game that have 2 or 3 attack,
Yeah.
but
There is
very
also
few
not
that have
yeah,
4.
there is also not a single 3 or even 4 drop other spaceship that has 4 attack. So
I don't know about the Forger, but yeah,
uh,
maybe.
yeah,
Like,
there is basically lurker, but you need to have initiative, and that's the stats. 4 mana for a 5/4 in space is really good, and 5 mana for a 5/6 is also a decent ship. It's really hard to be removed, and 5 damage is really big. It's a 1/5 or 1/6 of your life. If your opponent doesn't deal with him in 2 turns, 2 3 turns, it can finish the game. And for that, I think people underestimated it.
I
Uh,
think this card is the best as a 4 drop in hand green
yeah,
because on 5 resources you want to mainly play Poe with ECL or maybe Wrecker and stuff like that. But as a 4 resource card, this card
yeah,
is pretty good.
yeah. That's and I think the same goes for the reckless gunslinger. He's amazing in Han because of the few combos that you can do with him.
Yep. So the thing about Gunslinger is the fact that if you play Green Hand, you can on turn 1 you can play Maskanata, then play the Gunslinger. So Maskanata gains 1 experience token out of Gunslinger, and then you can use Hand's ability in order to play R2. So Mas becomes a 3/3 unit. That is a major threat because she grows every turn, and the opponent has to kill her. And at the early stages of the game, they just gonna trade the mass is gonna just trade, and you have those 2 units that stay on the field and can attack the base. And you might think that it's a big problem to play 3 cards on the first round because you essentially stay with only 1 card, but because you play hand, you have still the option um, to fix your curve with hand's ability because if you draw a 4 drop, you can play a 4 drop on 3 resources. If you draw a 5 drop, you can play a 5 drop on 4 resources, and that's not a problem. So, yeah,
Yeah,
I think she's pretty good in hand because of that. Also, if you want, you can use her with Spark of Hope. So you
on
can
turn
use
one. Yeah,
yeah, oh yeah, alter one. So you can use the hand ability in order to kill your unit, in order to kill this guy right away. And I'm almost 100% sure that when played still works. So you still deal 1 damage even though
Uh,
he dies.
it works 100%. It
Yeah,
was
so
confirmed.
yeah, it works. So we basically run in turn 1, and then on turn 2 you can play Poe Dameron, so as a 6/4, and that's a pretty decent play. You can play K2 or even the Fighter, so we have a lot of good
Yeah.
options. Also, the fact that this guy has Smuggle can help Han in the later stage of the game because Han tends to get rid of the cards from his hand quickly, so having an additional option to spend resources it might come in handy in some cases. So yeah,
Yeah.
I like this guy in
And
Han.
for the record, the deck that Sape is talking about will be on the channel in 2 days. So it will be probably Monday. It's a Rebel Han, it's a Go White Han, and the deck is, I think, next to Yellow Boba, one of the strongest decks that we made. It's absurd how many cards he draws and how many units he can play. And I'm really hoping to show it uh, how it works and a lot of because he has so many combos, so many like small synergies that it's really fun to play. It's
Yeah, exactly.
basically for me it works a little bit like Sabine in set one, but it's better at every single stage of the game. So
Mm,
yeah,
he doesn't run the four cost, so he doesn't have the like the not interactive damage,
yeah, but
like the instant damage from
you
hand.
can
But
run
yeah, he
for a
has a
cause
lot
in
of.
the deck. But we
Yeah,
I
I mean, I've been running it for a
yeah,
little while, but I decided to cut it because it was
yeah,
kind of
we
slow.
we basically cut for the cost from the deck because you mostly prefer to just play units than have for a cost because you can't reduce the cost of for the cost, but you can reduce the cost of K2, for
Yeah,
example.
and
And
also on 5 and 6 resources, you have a really good plays like
yeah,
Wrecker and Poe, and you
yeah,
wanna
okay.
just play them.
So let's go for the last card for the Cunning.
Hmm. Okay,
Yeah,
so we have the same card
yeah,
for the first
yeah.
time.
We finally chose the same card, and I'm pretty sure why we chose it.
Okay,
Uh,
so feel free to explain it to the
yeah,
viewers.
I will explain the other card because everybody says that Boba's armor is an extremely OP card and it will change the meta, and they like most people didn't appreciate how powerful Jetpack is because Jetpacks basically do the same thing for one turn, but for any unit in your deck, not only for Boba. And ability to save a unit, give it +2 attack, uh, is just really, really powerful. And it's really powerful in any stage of the game. But even if you don't find a perfect place for it, and you put it in your resources, it still has smuggle, and smuggle for 4. If it will end the game, it's still okay. Uh, During
Like,
testing, this card performed much above what I expected. And in most decks, I now run 2 Boba's armor and 2 jetpacks. And those cards for me are like similarly powerful.
yeah, exactly. I also play 2 jetpacks and 2 Boba Fett's armor in my current version of Yellow Boba. And yeah, I really like the smile on this one, like the fact that you can, because Boba plays a lot of cards, he might he might find him in a situation where you don't have anything to spend them on, and if you have the jetpack of smuggle on the resource, you can just play for a smuggle cost, and it's a pretty good play.
Yeah.
Just to have those 2 more damage or have a unit trade with other unit, and because of the shield token, you're gonna stay alive.
Uh,
So yeah,
like
jetpack is pretty good
even
in
a
Boba.
small place like on 5 resources, you play it from smuggle on your unit. You attack, you trade with something. You untap 1 resource. You play Boba. You untap 2 resources. You still have 4 resources to play. So yeah, even though the smuggle cost is big, the fact that Boba has the access to so many resources makes it really strong. And Boba's biggest issue always were uh, that he doesn't really have a draw engine. And later stages of the game, you were playing all of your cards and you didn't have the way to draw more. And now when we have smuggle cards, you can mitigate those weaknesses.
Yeah, I'll also give a shout out to Beckett because I also wanted to add him to the list for a similar reason. Like everyone is going crazy about for long and there's plus Zuko's combo, but Beckett is pretty decent for drop that has a 4-5 stat line for resources and also a pretty relevant ability
So
so you
I
can
think
exhaust.
we had the same cards to add because I wanted to add Beckett as well. Because he performed much better than I anticipated. The 4-5 stat line is really good. I think the 4-5 stat line is even better than in set 1 because a lot of people started to run 4 mana 4-4 ambush cards. So
For
like
long.
Cohort, Forloom, the Bounty Hunter that is 4-2, and the 5 HP makes a big difference. Makes a big difference for those cards. Let me show.
And also Beckett has a smuggle. His smuggle is a blue one, so if you play him in something like yellow boba, you have to still pay 7 for the smuggle. But if you play against something like Kira or any slower decks that is more oriented about playing late game, you can still play him for 7 from a smuggle, and that's what I did like a few days ago, where when I was playing a constructed tournament, and he was just a pretty good play.
Yeah, that's true. And in the first set, the biggest issue for Boba was the lack of good 4 drops, and now he has Forloom and Beckett, and both of them are really really good.
Yeah,
So yeah,
exactly.
that's why we both think that Yellow Boba will be the strongest deck in the current expansion.
Yeah,
We will
and also the
see
fact that yeah.
we will see if it's correct, but it's definitely a powerful deck.
Yeah, and also one of the things that why stuff like Jetpack is even stronger is the fact that in set one, when you were playing Boba, a lot of times you were uh, really the main way you wanted to play the 5 resource round was by playing a 5 drop that could return the unit to hand or ambush something like boss, like bouncer or barrage or whatever, and then untap one with Bob as a leader, and then when he deploys 2 more and play a 3 drop. But now, because we have so many good four resource cards, you can play at two. You can play 2 4 resource cards on that turn, and
Yeah,
yours and that's still pretty good play because you can play Forlom, you can play Cunning, you can play
yeah.
Jetpack
The
from a
fact that you
smuggle
can
and kill
play
something.
Jetpack from Smuggle, kill something, and untap 3 basically with Boba, and
Yeah,
then play Beckett on top of it makes it such a big turn for the deck that
yeah. Like play Beckett, play Cunning, play Forlom,
yeah.
like whatever. There are a lot of great options to play.
Yeah, yeah. The new Boba is extremely strong. Yeah, Sib is currently working on the deck tech for it. He
Yeah,
still wants to because he wants to make sure that it's the strongest deck that he can make. So just give him a little bit of time, and I think during the end of the next week, or this week or the beginning of the next week, we will have it ready for you. Okay,
yeah,
thanks
probably.
everybody
Yeah,
for watching. If you have any card that you think is underrated, please write it in the comments, and we will respond to all of them and try to argue why we think it's underrated or overrated. Yeah, and see you in the tournament.
yeah.